Hello. So in our last video, we added a canvas widget, and then on that canvas widget, we put an image. And our next step is we're going to add the input boxes, which is going to allow us to input the values into our program to be processed. And we're going to put that code section directly below the photo canvas part. And you can see this was a previous slide. It says next code block will go here. And this is it. So essentially, it looks like a lot, but it's actually the same thing over and over again. But in order to really understand this, we need to understand about the grid layout manager that's used. So what we have here is we have really just two widgets we've added, but we've added multiple times. We've added a label widget, which is here, for example, that A, and we've added what's called an entry widget. And what we've then had to do is position them appropriately such that it looks nice. So right here we've created a label, and this creates a label widget to be placed on the root panel, and then there is where we've placed the label. And right there's that first label, A. Now what you'll notice is the position of that label is 1, 0. And let's make sure we understand this. So with a grid layout, and you can see I've used the grid layout manager, as you add different widgets, you give them a grid location, and then the TK interface module kinds of positions them accordingly. So we see that we have one widget directly above it, which is the canvas, so that would be row 0, and this would be row 1, column 0. And then we repeat that for every label widget, and there they are. So we see that this would be 1, 0, and then this would actually be 1, 1, and this would be 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. So then what we do is we create our entry widget, which we've done here, and then we place our entry widget. So I hope you're starting to notice this pattern of what we do with this approach to GUI is we create a widget, and then we place it in our main window. And there's our first entry widget. And that's in position 1, 1. And this is repeated for every widget. So I'm going to actually put the grid position for each of these. So this canvas is in position 0, 0, and then we see we have 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. Now it might be a little confusing. You might say to yourself, why do I have 0, 0 here? So this row here only has one column, but these ones have 6. And we'll talk about that in our next slide, which is just right here. We're going to take a second and we're going to talk about the layout managers. There are 3 standard layout managers that can be used to help place widgets. We're using one called the grid layout, and that's why the locations are set using this idea of a row and column. So what we always have is we have the widget variable name, dot grid, and then we give it row M, column N. So I can tell it what row and column position I want that widget to be placed in. So TK into grid layout will automatically adjust the number of rows and columns based on what you have added. But sometimes each row might not display all the columns, and we can see that right here because this canvas widget, this row only has one column on it. And in order to kind of manipulate this and kind of give the look and feel such that things are placed and they spread across multiple rows or multiple columns, we use this other parameter called row span or column span, and we could do something like this. So widget variable name dot grid, row M, column N, row span A, column span B. So the row span indicates how many rows that widget will actually extend across, and column span indicates how many columns that widget will expand across. We don't always have to include them because if they're not included, the default value is 1. And that's why earlier on when we placed this photo canvas, we put it in row 0, column 0, but we gave it a column span of 6 because this widget up here spans across 6 of the locations that make up the geometry of this GUI. 1 row, so there's no span adjustment there. 6 columns, so we need a span adjustment in order to make it look right. And so in our next video, we're actually going to code this and kind of see it in action. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Have a wonderful day.